Have you ever looked around your home, once filled with laughter, conversation, and the sound of footsteps, and felt a silence that's just too quiet? Maybe your spouse passed on years ago, or the kids have grown and built lives of their own. The phone doesn't ring like it used to, and the days, once busy and full, now feel long, too long. If any of that hits close to home, I want you to know you're not alone. And more importantly, there's something you can do about it, right now. This stage of life isn't just about winding down. It can be a time of powerful reinvention, a time where you finally get to put yourself first. But if you're over 70 and feeling the weight of loneliness creeping in, there are actions, real simple things you can start doing today that can change everything. Not in some far-off future, but right now. Let's talk about the first shift, and it's a big one. Stop waiting for someone else to fix it. That sounds blunt, but hear me out. So many of us grow up with roles to fill: parent, partner, caretaker. And when those roles fade, we wait for someone to fill the gap, a call from a family member, a neighbor to stop by. But the truth is, the person most responsible for your happiness is staring back at you in the mirror. That doesn't mean you don't need people. It just means you don't have to wait for someone else to bring joy back into your life. One of the simplest and most powerful things you can do: create a daily routine that includes purpose, not just chores, not just watching TV to pass the time. I'm talking about something that excites you, a reason to get out of bed that isn't based on someone else's needs. It could be as simple as planting a small herb garden, joining a walking group, learning how to paint, or finally starting that memoir you've always talked about writing. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be yours. Now, I know some people hear that and think, well, that sounds nice, but I don't feel like doing anything. And I get it. When you're alone and the house is quiet, motivation can be hard to find. But that's exactly why doing something, even a small step, is so important, because action creates momentum, and momentum brings energy. The key is to start tiny, just 10 minutes a day doing something that feels meaningful. It adds up faster than you'd think. The second thing that can make a massive difference is this: reconnect with people, places, or passions. Now, I don't mean scrolling Facebook hoping someone messages you. I mean intentionally reaching out. Call someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Ask a neighbor to go for coffee. Join a local club, even if it feels a little awkward at first. You'd be amazed how many others out there feel the same way you do, waiting for someone to make the first move. And if people aren't immediately available, start with passion. What's something you used to love doing but let go of? Maybe it's music, maybe it's volunteering, maybe it's puzzles or fixing things or dancing. Dust it off and bring it back. Reconnection doesn't always start with others. Sometimes it starts with reawakening the parts of yourself you forgot were there. And if you're thinking, I'm too old for that now, let me stop you right there. Age doesn't cancel out joy. It doesn't mean you've run out of chances. In fact, many people find that their 70s, 80s and beyond are the most freeing years of all, if they choose to live them that way. You've already made it through so much in life. You're stronger than you realize. And you still have so much to offer to the world and to yourself. Another powerful shift that can transform the way you feel when you're living alone, especially after 70, is to create structure around your day. I'm not talking about rigid schedules or filling every hour. I mean giving your day a framework that creates rhythm. Without structure, time can start to blur together. You wake up, eat when you feel like it, maybe watch TV, maybe nap, and before you know it, it's bedtime again. Days like that don't feed the soul. They just pass by. Instead, imagine waking up and knowing that after your morning coffee, you're going to stretch for 10 minutes, then take a walk around the block. You'll prepare a healthy lunch, spend an hour on something you enjoy, maybe reading, sketching, or even learning something new online. And in the afternoon, maybe you write in a journal or call a friend. It doesn't have to be complex. The goal isn't to stay busy, it's to feel in control again. That sense of momentum, even from small routines, builds confidence. And confidence is what keeps loneliness from turning into despair. And speaking of momentum, here's something most people don't think about enough. Move your body every single day. When you're alone, especially if you're retired or not working, it's easy to become sedentary without even noticing it. You sit more, you move less, and slowly your energy drops, not just physically but emotionally too. You don't need a gym, you don't need fancy equipment, you need movement. Gentle stretches in the morning. A daily walk outside if possible, because nature has its own healing effect. Even just standing up and dancing to a favorite song in your living room counts. The point isn't fitness, it's vitality. When you move, your brain gets a boost. Your mood lifts, your sleep improves, your whole sense of self becomes brighter. And that brings me to something that might feel a little surprising. Rethink how you care for your space. Start small, make your bed in the morning. Light a candle in the evening. Put on clothes that make you feel good, even if no one is coming over. Cook yourself something nourishing and plate it like it's for company. When you treat yourself with that kind of care, your home stops feeling like a holding place and starts feeling like a sanctuary. Even small touches, a vase of fresh flowers, a clean kitchen, photos of loved ones on display can change the energy of a space. It's not about impressing anyone, it's about creating beauty and comfort for your own spirit, because you're worth it and your space should remind you of that every day. Let's talk now about something that's a little harder for many, but it's so important. Find a way to serve or help someone else. This might feel counterintuitive when you're the one feeling alone or disconnected. But helping others doesn't just change their day, it changes yours, and it doesn't have to be big. You could write cards for people in assisted living, knit hats for newborns, volunteer one day a week at the library or animal shelter. Even offering to walk a neighbor's dog or help them carry groceries can remind you that you still have value, you still matter. When we give, even in tiny doses, we reconnect with the bigger world. We stop seeing ourselves as separate, and that simple act can be a lifeline, not just for others, but for us too. And if you're watching this thinking, but I don't have the energy, or I don't know where to start, that's okay. Start where you are with what you can do. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be willing to try something different, willing to take one step, just one, and see what opens up from there. Because even when you're alone, you're not forgotten. Your life still holds meaning. There are still moments waiting to surprise you with joy. Yes, even now, especially now. Let's talk about one more piece that often goes overlooked, yet it can have one of the most powerful effects on your emotional well-being: your mindset. Now, I know that word gets tossed around a lot, but hear me out, because this isn't about thinking happy thoughts or pretending everything's fine. It's about choosing to see this chapter of life not as an ending, but as a beginning. A clean slate, a time where no one else's expectations define who you are or how you live. When you wake up each morning, the thoughts you choose to dwell on shape the rest of your day. If you tell yourself there's nothing to do or I'm just alone and forgotten, your world shrinks. But if instead you say, today I get to decide what this day looks like, or even let me just try something new, your world starts to open back up inch by inch. That small mental shift can lead to big changes. Try speaking to yourself the way you would to someone you deeply love, because so many of us are kinder to others than we are to ourselves. And when you're alone, your inner voice is your constant companion. Make it a voice that encourages, that forgives, that cheers you on. It doesn't cost a thing, but it can change everything. And here's something else worth doing right now. Start capturing your story. You have lived decades of experiences, lessons, heartbreaks, victories, and love. Don't let that story fade away. Write it down. Record your voice. Create a scrapbook. Whether it's for your family, your grandchildren, or just for you, it's healing. And it's powerful. Your life matters, and your story deserves to be told, even if only to remind you of how far you've come. It's also a way to create connection, even when you're physically alone. When you document your memories, you're passing something on. It reminds you that you're part of something bigger, that your time here made an impact. And that legacy, that sense of meaning, it's one of the most beautiful gifts you can leave behind. Now, I want to leave you with this. Being alone doesn't mean being empty. It doesn't mean your life has less value, or that your days have to feel cold and still. You still have time, precious, meaningful time, to live in a way that brings you peace, pride, and even joy. The days ahead don't have to be quiet in a sad way. They can be calm and centered, rich with simple pleasures and small victories. So if you're feeling stuck, promise yourself this. Just start. Start with one new habit, one small act of kindness, one 10-minute walk, one phone call, one little spark that says, I'm still here and I'm still living. Because you are. You are more than your age. You are more than your circumstances. You are still becoming, and your best moments don't have to be behind you. If this spoke to you, I'd love for you to leave a comment below. Share a habit you're starting or something that's helped you through a lonely time. You never know who you might inspire just by speaking up. And if you haven't yet, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're building a space where wisdom, hope, and strength shine, especially after 70. Thank you for spending this time with me. Here's to living fully, courageously, and with heart at every age.